That's okay. You made me look bad over there, Trush, so it's all even.
I get a notification.
All right.
Yes, sir.
I didn't care for that. Okay. So let's take a look. We're going to get talking here, but if we take a look here, the activity you just traveling at the speed of light, it's taken that light 13 billion years to get to us, an incredibly far distance. In fact, we know from here, if we want to use meters to measure it, you have to start with a 1, and then you had to put how many zeros? Was it 27? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27 meters. I'm not putting commas and all that. No, thank you. So, wow, that's really big. And then this, now, is this a real photo?
No.
It actually is a real photo, but obviously all the drawings are on it. Like, there's not real labels up in space. That'd be cool if they're not there. But that actually is the stars are real photos. That's taken from the Hubble Space Telescope. Kind of cool. This is a real photo too. Does anyone know what we're looking at here? It doesn't look like much, but it's actually incredibly cool because that is just the smallest possible thing we can take a photo of. Do you know what we're looking at there? It kind of looks like the Olympic rings, doesn't it? Yeah, in fact, this is carbon atoms, and it's kind of hard to see, but this is individual atoms at each of these corners, and they're connected in a ring structure like this. This is a substance called graphene. You don't have to worry about that, doesn't matter. But this is all the way down to there, and we know that when we look at that, we're looking at about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Actually, the 1 should be the 14. That many meters. Really small, yeah.
Is there a photo that you can actually see the marks, or is that the only photo you can get?
That is as clear as you can possibly get, and that would have been impossible 8 years ago. That is like right at the bleeding edge of science. Like the most expensive, a $1 billion, well, not $1 billion, but a multi-million-dollar microscope used to take that photo. And yeah, it's pretty blurry, isn't it? But it's pretty amazing that we can take photos of that. Again, that wasn't possible for most of human existence. So here's one of the problems we come up against in science. We have to deal with really big numbers, and we have to deal with really small numbers. And we have to deal with everything in between. Does that make sense? Like that activity you just did, we tried to help by, they all start with a 1, and then there's just all zeros. Imagine those hadn't been all 1s and 0s, but just random digits, 2, 3, 5, 7, 9, 2. How hard would that activity have been? And if I hadn't put nice commas in and things like that? Can you imagine how tricky it would be sorting all those numbers out? So we need a way to deal with really big numbers. So scientists need a way to deal with really big and really small numbers. Scientists, have I spelled that right?
Yeah.
Scientists need a way, a system with very large and very small numbers. And I'd like you to write this down. All right, I gave you a note. I've got that for you. So let's actually write this down. With very large and very small numbers. By the way, if anyone needs something to write with, let me know. I've got some pencils and things. I know we made you guys like change rooms and stuff like that, so it's a little chaotic. Yeah. Where did I put my pencil?
Change again after the break. Can't write?
That's a pencil. There's a red pen. You got options. All right.
I like this one.
So scientists need a system for dealing with very big and very small numbers. Makes sense, right? So you guys have already seen the system there, all right? And basically, imagine this. The big number there, the last one, the one that looked like this. If you were trying to tell somebody how to write that number, what would you say? what would you say? Just, and like, don't try to be scientific about this. Imagine you're trying to tell a 6-year-old to write that number. What would you tell that 6-year-old to do? What a great answer. Perfect. Exactly right. Does that make sense? So we have a really quick way of saying that out loud. Write a 1 and then put 27 zeros, 26 zeros, whatever the number is. Scientists basically do that. With this, we basically say, put a 3 and no zeros, right? That's the basic structure there, right? What would be a way to say this? Yeah. Yeah, 3 and 1 0. Okay, now having said that, are we going to write numbers like this? No, it's clunky, right? But this is the basic idea of what we do. Because what we're really saying here is another way to think of this would be to say this is almost like 3 multiplied by 10. Does that make sense? Take 3 and then stick a 0 on it. What is this basically? This is 3 and 2 zeros, which is another way of thinking that. It's almost like saying it's 3 multiplied by 100. Good. Does that make sense? These are all ways you could say the same thing. So, how do scientists do it? Because over here, we're going to write scientific notation. By the way, what's notation mean? Anyone heard that word before? Notation? Fancy word. Notation just means take note, write something down. Notation just means how we write something. So scientific notation just means the way scientists write this number. And so 3 is nice and easy. A scientist would write 3 just by writing 3. Well, that's not too bad. But beyond that, here's what a scientist would say. This number, 30, we're going to break that out and say that's like 3 times 10. Now, you might say, that is way harder than just writing 30. And you're right. We would probably never use scientific notation for a number like 30 because it's more complicated. Does that make sense? But see this one where it's like 3 times 100? Scientists don't write 3 times 100 because the whole point of this is to not have to write a bunch of zeros, right? Does that make sense? So what we'd say is, all right, 3 times 10, but then we want not 1 0, we want 2 zeros, so we say do that twice. Multiply it by 10 to add a 0, then multiply it by 10 again to add another 0. Does everyone remember exponents? You should have done them in elementary school math. It means keep multiplying by the same number, right? Comfortable with that? So what this says is take 3, and then we'll add a 0 by multiplying it by 10. But how many times are we going to do that? Twice. And that'll put on how many zeros? 2. Oh, you guys are good. So how do you think I'm going to write 3,000? How would I say take a 3 and then add a 0 3 times?
3 times 10 to the power of 3.
Very good. Does that make sense? So I want you guys to take a minute and fill the rest of this chart out. Mr. Whoa, hey, keyboard. And Mr. Trush and I are going to walk around and say encouraging things like, hey, good job. That's great. Yeah, see if you can get this filled out to the end. All right, we'll take a minute. All right, get that filled out for me. Yeah.
I was typing this out and I just went how to do this.
Cool. Sure. So there's 2 ways. If you are in the web version, well, yeah, that's still in the web version. So please go open the desktop app. Oh, there it is. Yeah, you go in here. If you're in the sheet then we have something called, if you do command oh, that's not so on a Mac, you can control this. Now we're in the equation mode, and you can do 3, so take those times, and you can also use the stop. And then if you do shift 6, is that the number you're doing? And then what number do you want? Yeah, and then as soon as you press space, So you try. Control yours.
I don't know where it's
Oh, you want to do that?
Is it actually?
Yep, see, that's this type of equation.
Okay, then let me do the math.
Fine, you can even use it.
Does September 30 have 2 days or 30?
And now shift 6 is the
30?
half.
Okay.
As soon as you press space, you just
That
makes sense? Cool. Yeah. You may.
Every
All right, how are we doing?
knuckle is 31.
Can I take a look? So what do you think for this one?
I was listening to producers.
What do you think for this one? What would you put there? So with 2 zeros, we said 3 times 10 to 2. 3 zeros, we said 3 times 10 to 3. What do you think? Yeah, that's all.
And I'm 45 on the other one.
Here, can you guys pick one and put it in there? Pens on the side.
Put one and put it in. Oh, I want to do it.
Yeah.
Keep following me. You know what I'm doing.
Wait, can I rest my hand on this?
Sorry?
I'm assuming not.
21 how much was I
I have like a couple of times. I don't have.
Oh my god, I did it.
Do we only do one?
Someday, like you guys can hook the controllers up.
Do we only do one of them?
Absolutely.
No, you do all of them.
Yeah, just give me one.
Okay, I did it.
Yeah, I've got controllers. I've got 4 in the drawer. Yeah. Guys, put one in there for me. Well, just on the PC.
Oh, I thought you were
PC game.
I want to draw.
Hey, just one. Don't be greedy. Just one.
No, I accidentally erased the 4.
Oh, I see. Okay, sorry about that. Can I give you a hint? Here, take it. Use it like paper. Put your palm on it. Don't be afraid. You're not going to break it. Here, erase it.
Oh, I want to write.
All right, try again. Try again. Put your palm right on. Don't be shy. Stand some piece of paper.
I want to write something.
That's better. That's better.
Your hand's like.
How are we doing back here? Never doubted you. Beautiful. That looks great.
Try.
Yeah, well, we'll all get time. Will somebody throw one more in here for me? There you go. Oh, beautiful. But here, give me this one down here. Oh, your writing's nice and neat, too. Oh, I'm jealous. I'm so sloppy. Amazing. Thank you. Sorry, I'm stepping on your toes here. All right, guys, let's take a look here, shall we? So, if we wanted to write 30,000, which is really just a 3 and then 4 zeros, we could write 3 times 10 to the 4. 3, tack a 0 on, then another 0, then another 0, then another 0. That's good. That's beautiful. For 300,000, we said 3, I'm assuming that's a times sign, or it's a piece of barbed wire, times 10 to the 5, and that 5 appears to be growing something. I like it. No, that's good. And then for 3 million, which is a 3 with 6 zeros, we can say 3 times 10 to the 6. Those are great. That's really good. Now, what if I wanted to go the other way? What if I wanted to say 0.3 or even 0.03? What if instead of making the numbers bigger, we want to make the numbers smaller? Well, we could say 3 divided by 10, but they don't. They still say 3 times 10. But how could we say, don't go forward, go backwards? How in math do we say that? Go backwards instead of forwards. What do you think? Take a guess. Worst case, you're wrong, and then we fix it. No worries. Oh, that's okay. Sorry about that.
I was going to say that the exponent would be negative.
I think you are answering the question. That's exactly right. Beautiful. Yeah, in math, if we want to go backwards, we don't use a positive number, we use a negative number. So if we want to say, don't put the 0 on the end, but rather let's move backwards, we would say, move that decimal place backwards by 1. Because really, when you multiply by 10, that's what you're doing in the way we count numbers by tens, right? Every time you multiply by 10, you're moving that decimal place over. And here we're saying move the decimal place backwards. How would I get 0.03? How do I move that decimal place backwards, not 1 spot, but 2?
3 times 10 to the power of negative 2.
Very good. So this scientific notation, here's the nice thing about it. It's a little bit clunky, but it's always the exact same size. You see that? So for saying a number like 30, it's kind of a waste of time. Is this a good way to say 30? I'd say 2 digits probably beats a 3, a multiplication sign, and 2 more digits. Probably you won't write the number 30 like this. But do you see how by the time we're writing 3 million, it's pretty easy, isn't it? Yeah. And have you ever done this? I know I have. Have you ever plugged a number into a calculator, it's got a bunch of zeros, and you accidentally put 1 too few or 1 too many? I've done that. So when we get back from the break, we'll talk about how we can use this for every possible number. What do you think? I think today we stay here. Is that cool with everyone? And tomorrow we'll do the library? All right. I agree. Yeah, so we'll meet you back here in 5 minutes. Enjoy it.
It's not here.
Oh,
I have YouTube, but I don't know where it went.
Yo, what's up, Uncle? I like your hair. Don't bro, I started.
Yes.
I don't think you know how to write.
No worries.
You're getting closer to me. I know.
Totally understand. What's up?
But so it's just a stick figure, not even any detail.
No
It's
worries.
no detail.
So, first of all,
No.
like A, sorry for the confusion. B, like don't stress about it. You're not gonna get lane marks. You're not. Don't worry. So what we'll do, like after about 10 minutes this period, we're gonna be in work time. I'll just have you come up here and bring your computer and we'll get started. Okay? No worries. Totally fine. Yep. Well, I appreciate that. Okay, so obviously, yeah, make sure you check in with the office.
I just want to tell you,
Oh my god.
I'll be back.
Should I go say sorry?
Nothing.
Oh, wait. When did I say sorry? It's a good rule now. Seriously, it's a good rule for life. Yes. Yeah. Sure.
Oh, she just as a research tool.
That is just called last year. But the show.
Best drawing ever. Every dog when fireworks go off, I'll be getting off class back.
I have no idea.
Yeah, I love it.
Oh, yeah, I could look at this and call this.
Bro.
Kind of sounds kind of racist.
Yo, it's kind
Look at him, look at him.
I saw
Hey,
that.
what's wrong with German right now? What's wrong with German? German is German, okay? I don't even know German.
He shows dead people all about it.
The only question
I don't know what happened.
I don't even know
Don't talk about it. Don't even joke about it. I'm joking.
What do you mean?
I have it.
I never watched anime in my life. I don't even know who in the hell are I don't even know.
Oh, same. In high school,
I wish I could say so much so I
that's his favorite.
know.
Okay. We're best friends. Like, we're obviously brothers. All are you okay? We're brothers. Oh, no, you're like, see? We're brothers.
Even though one's shorter than the other, it doesn't mean that we're not brothers.
Oh my god.
That's you guys.
Who's who?
I don't know.
No problem.
I don't fucking know anime, so I don't know who the fuck is I don't know who the fuck is any of these characters.
Why am I the strong guy named All Might?
Okay, hold on.
Oh, is that?
I got you.
We'll grab your seat and I'll come up.
Imagine being that low.
Snag my big old thing of Oh, yeah, I've definitely got it.
No, bring it back.
All right. Okay, team. I know these breaks were short, but break is over. Grab a seat. Why are you guys late?
I was in the bathroom. Kaden can vouch for me.
Okay. So I know 5 minutes is short, but try to make it. Do I personally think that we should have 10 minutes? I do personally think we should have 10 minutes. Put your hand down, thank you. But we don't.
Stole the soap in the bathroom, like it's gone.
I hate people. If you need to wash your hands, you can use in my office back there.
Someone had a DV slick.
We're tubs full.
Which? Yeah. Sorry?
Is it okay?
Yep. No, you've got them all.
Okay, so
So it's 25 in there.
25?
Yeah, I gave you an extra. You got a bonus. Who loves you, Trush?
I know, but it's not even there. I'm down too.
How could you be down 2?
No, that's hilarious.
We'll talk. Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
I think somebody started using
They are. Yeah, there's not enough chargers because people didn't return them, so you have to kind of cycle through them, which is super annoying. Okay, so listen up. Alright. Guys, I know today's chaotic. I'm not gonna lie, I see 2 people on their phones right now and I'm thinking about feeding them to them. Okay, thank you. Don't be on your phone while I'm talking, I don't appreciate it. And I know Trush doesn't appreciate it either, do you, Mr. Trush?
I do not.
Yeah, he does not. In fact, I think it might be safe to say that Trush appreciates it less than I do. I've been known to feed people's phones to them, but I once watched Trush go down to the shop and run a phone right through a bandsaw. That's a true story. Just right, boom, right through it. Cut it right in half. So I'm just saying, nothing. Do you think Trush is going to pay you? We're obviously not talking about the same guy. So, listen up. You guys did great. The basic principle with scientific notation is this. Every number becomes a 1-digit number. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
See this? No matter how many digits it has, we just turn it into a 1-digit number, and then we say how big it is by saying times 10 to this many. This is how many digits it used to be. Does that make sense? You turn every number into a 1-digit number, and then you say how many digits it used to be with this times 10 to the blank. So for really big and really small numbers, this is a really convenient way to write that. Now, so far we've dealt with numbers that only had zeros, but that's not real life. For example, I am 158 centimeters tall. I might be making that number up. But the point being, the numbers we deal with often have decimals to them, right? But that's okay. What we're going to do is this. What is the 1-digit version of this? Well, it's 6, right? Does that make sense? So we make it 1 digit. And you can still put the rest of these numbers, but they're just going to appear after. So 6, and then decimal, and then the rest of these numbers still go there. So 342, And then we have to say how many digits it really is, which in this case is how much? This is 6.342, but then how many digits did we move that decimal place? The decimal place used to be after the 4. We've moved it so it's after the 3. How many places did we move that decimal place? Kind of confusing.
Yeah.
Very good. So we're going to say 6.342 times 10 to the power 2. That would be that number in scientific notation. We make it a 1-digit number, and then we say how far we had to move the decimal. Make it a 1-digit. So we'll do one more together, and then I'll leave this off to you. But this next one, to make it a 1-digit number, what's it going to look like? What would I write for this? We're going to make it a 1-digit number, yeah?
1.74532.
Very nice. And the nice thing about this is now if you want to round, you can round. I'm going to write it all here. But if you wanted to, you could call this like 1.7. You know, you could round it and shorten it if you needed to. Now, how many places did we move the decimal to do that? It started here and I had to move it once, twice, 3 times. So how do I indicate that over here, that I moved that decimal 3 times? 1.74532 times, is that a hand? No, not a hand, yeah. Very good, times 10 to the power of 3. That's how we make it scientific notation. Move the decimal place so that it's after the first digit, making it a 1-digit number, and then tell me how many times we had to move the decimal place to do that. That's it. That's the whole thing. It's not so bad. So take 5 minutes, do the other 3 questions on here. Take 5, do those other 3. Mr. Trush and I will come around, make sure you're doing all right. You can ask us for help if you need it. No, you know, I don't know why I put that middle column there. That wasn't great note designing on my part. I should have put a little thing up above to say how to do this. You can do whatever you want with that middle column. You can like draw me a cat each time.
Good job.
I like when people draw me. Because I'm bad at it, but I like when people are good at it.
I feel you. Is it your receipt?
Oh, I think. May I have that, please? Do you want to take that? Oh, thank you. What are you going to do with the receipt? See, I can submit this receipt and get paid for it.
No.
Whereas you would just, like, right? So, like, I paid my own money for this.
What did you buy? I'll return all your items.
I bought, ready?
Yeah.
Cable ties. Cable ties. Cable tie, singular. Cable tie. GVCLOTH 2 times 30. OJ cloths. BW composite. Scour pads. All-purpose dishwashing. Dawn dish detergent. Dawn dish detergent again. 3 pounds of apples. I'm going to eat them. I'm going to consume them for nutrients. What do you mean what am I going to do with apples? I eat them.
I don't know, maybe it's science fair. I want scout.
and then a case of bottled water.
We can eat cable. I can eat water.
There you go. You can also consume. Usually we call that drinking, but you know.
You just said cable cord sounds like food.
Yeah.
Oh, that's your friend. That's my bestie. That's your friend. I want to play. Is she your bestie? Kind of.
Good job.
She's a tracker. I'll write on your paper.
You're that serious?
Oh,
That changed.
What the? I didn't know that. I thought it was a
thought that she made that up. She doesn't know who it's for? Who was it for? Who was it for? Who? Two people? How can you have it for two people?
It's the same.
You gotta make up your mind.
It's the same problem that happened in this class on the second day of school.
Oh, yeah, you can help? I can't help you. Mine's right there.
No problem. You just click the little arrow.
You'll see in a second, don't worry.
I'll see.
Yes, but I would like you to fill these in.
Wait,
Show me
is she
this
in
one.
our second period class? Kid, is she in our second period?
How many places did you want?
Is
Yeah, because it's talking about it.
Was here.
She's in.
Oh, yes, well, that's good.
okay.
Does that make sense? This is
Also my math class. She's in 3 periods.
3 periods. Wow.
because we don't always draw down.
You should pull off. Ask for the skill.
Alright, not
Not acceptable person. No, you can do it by hand, but you gotta take it. Yeah, these are beautiful. And if you need help finding it, just let me know, okay?
Go put on the kitchen dust and
I relate. I like.
I ain't gonna tell no. I ain't no snitch.
Why do you even need it? My shirt keeps showing up.
How many places do we have to move? How many did we move it? Beautiful. You got it. Good. Oh, it's chaos in here.
Yeah, it is.
It's so tight. So many people. All right, whom have I not bothered? Here, write one of yours in there if you're feeling confident, and then pass it on.
Oh, it's this.
Yeah, what's up?
This looks like an owl. I mean, it's good enough.
I like cats in the series because they're cute. Probably the cat is like, you know, the cat like have to nibble through your toes. Oh, it's cute. It's trying to eat you. Like if your cat was big enough, it would just eat you. You know that, right? Oh yeah, for sure. It'll just eat you. Yeah, like you think the cat loves you, but the cat like loves food. And the first thing you just gotta eat. Or a dog, like a dog one.
No, what is
Yeah, what's up? Hey, can we, grab my set? Yeah, pass it along. Red number on the, yeah, what's up? What? Oh, 5 minutes? Wow. That's fun. All right, good.
on which one? This one?
What's up?
I can't teach like that though. I need to have it, know, and then go from there. Yeah.
I want to do this one.
I see what you are. The open space. I always have an open space. All right. How are we doing, team?
We're good.
All right.
Some of us are moving on to the next part.
Cool. All right, team, can I take a look here? Shh. Let's take a look here. Wow, it is cramped in here. Okay. Okay. You guys are doing great. So I had some of you fill this out here. And remember, the trick is always make it a 1-digit number. So here, if we take that decimal place and move it over once, it becomes a 1-digit number. So we write this as 1.22 times 10. And then whoever did this is correct. You don't have to write the 1 up there for just 10. I still like to, just so I can kind of see it. But if you don't have the 1 there, that's still correct. That's totally cool. Same number. What about this one? This one here is kind of sneaky because what don't we see in this number? We don't see a decimal. But if we don't see a decimal in a number, where is it?
Yeah, a little something in the bottom left corner there.
Sorry?
Bottom left corner. Zoom out a bit.
Okay, I'm not at the bottom left corner yet. I'm on this question.
Zoom out.
Don't tell me what to do. You're not my boss.
No. There's a symbol.
Yeah, okay, so listen, I'm not your dancing monkey. Thank you. I will do what I like when I like it. Thank you. So, look here. If we have a number like this and we don't have a decimal place on it, where is that decimal place? Yeah, that's right. If you see a number and you go, well, how am I supposed to move the decimal? It doesn't have a decimal. The default spot for a decimal is at the end of a number, right? If you were going to make this 345.3, we'd put a 0.3 at the end. Now, how do I make this a 1-digit number? Yep.
You move it over twice.
I move it over twice. Very good. 1, 2, and so we would say 3.45, and then how do I say I moved that decimal place twice? Times 10. Times 10 means move the decimal place. And power of 2 means move the decimal place twice. That's the nice thing about decimal counting. Multiply, divide by 10. Great. How do we do on this bottom one here? It looks good to me. Isn't that charming? Okay, so how many times did we have to move the decimal here? 1, 2, 3, 4. So we get that number times 10 to the 4. Great. Questions about that? Makes good sense, right? Okay. What is different if we have small numbers? Well, the only difference with small numbers is that instead of moving the decimal one way, we have to move it the other way. Instead of saying make this number, instead of saying make a big number, we have to say make a small number. How many times did I have to move the decimal place here to make this a 1-digit number that doesn't start with 0? Yeah. Let's see. It's here right now. I mean, I could, if I wanted to move it to the end, but if I want just to be 1 digit, if I want the decimal to come after the first number that isn't a 0. Sorry? This way? No. I could do that. I want it to come after, I don't want to start with a 0. I want to start with any number that isn't 0. Very good. I can move it just once. Beautiful. Because if I move this one once, move the decimal once, there we go. Now I've got a use for that middle column. I don't know why I put that middle column there. I'm sorry, guys. If I do that, it becomes 2.567. But I have to say that I moved the decimal. Now, the question is this. How do I tell somebody that when you move this decimal, don't make this number bigger, you actually have to make it smaller. We have to make this a little decimal. How do we do that?
Make the exponent negative instead of positive.
Very good. So instead of saying positive 1, I'm going to say negative 1. Anytime you see scientific notation that has a negative exponent like this, you know that you're going to be dealing with a little decimal number. Does that make sense? And the more negative that exponent, the more wee and tiny that decimal number is. Yeah?
So does a negative exponent always have like a 0 in the
Yeah, that's right. If you see scientific notation with a negative digit, that was a great question. It's going to lead with a bunch of placeholder zeros. And actually that number tells you how many zeros you're going to have to use. The first one goes before the decimal, right? Yeah, good question. Very good insight. How would we do this next one then? What's that going to look like? How would I rewrite that as a 1-digit number? Yeah, give me just the number. Don't give me the exponent yet.
3.413.
Awesome. Okay, so pause there. So to make this a 1-digit number, we're going to want to put the decimal place there, right? And she has done that brilliantly. Very nice. How many places did I have to move the decimal to do that? Yeah, what do you got? Yeah, very good. We had to move it 1, 2, 3 places. So how would I say that? Yep. Okay, like that. Yeah, very good. Times 10 and then negative 3, right? Very good. Cool. Do you guys want to try the next three? We'll give you 3 minutes. Try the next three. See how you do.
I am also.
If you feel like you've got one confident, let me know. Yeah. Oh, beautiful. Yeah, go put one up. Go put one on.
Can I put one right after him?
I'll bring it to you. Yeah, you may. Oh, she's heating up. There you go.
Good idea. Thanks.
No problem.
Can I put one up after him?
Yeah, you got grab one.
Drop does funny. Oh, it's warm.
That kind of
See, I just figured out when I sent any. What? In the bathrooms, in the field with spray paint, like a huge one. Oh my god. On the toilet seat. I don't know. But it's oogie, bro.
We were just in art class. You now know how to draw straight lines.
You get with the sun? This sucks.
He's got the Delta variant.
What? Like, whatever.
Hey, Murray.
Yeah.
Can I tell you about this funny joke I made in a session with Alex?
No, I'm not.
Flying around time she saw Miss Garden number 2.
It's an amazing joke.
And everybody was so everybody was flying around.
Very nice.
Imp and super.
This is really squiggly.
It takes some getting used to. The trick is you have to treat it like paper. Like, put your palm on it. Like, it's okay. You're not going to break it.
See how good your handwriting is.
Oh god.
Yeah, you can see it takes a little bit. What's up? Yeah, don't worry about it. Don't worry about those words. You're still cool.
I know it looks like an S, but
Yeah, that's
who else wants to write one? No, you're not doing another one.
I'm too lazy.
You want to do it? I don't think I can. You know what? Why is it so warm?
Well, it's a tablet. There's some.
Tablets shouldn't be that warm.
Oh my god. Yeah, it shouldn't be that warm. It shouldn't be that warm.
That's who brought their gaming mouse? Oh, your glasses, bro. You people here brought their switches.
all right. You guys are doing great. Where's my tablet on? Oh, here we are.
Why is
Beautiful.
it so hot?
Because it is wirelessly streaming to here, running OneNote. I have like 85 tabs open in my browser in the background because I never remember to close things. And then I'm also running OBS and streaming.
How is it not working?
So it's got a lot on the go. And then this particular model doesn't have a fan, so it'll be quieter, which is nice. But as a result, it gets hot. All right, let's take a look. Take a look. We did great. We did really good. This one, we had to move the decimal place twice. So 1.765 times 10 to the negative 2. Looks great. This one, again, we had to move the decimal place twice. And this one does that 0 in the middle, which might stress you out. It's fine. You just write it. 3.04 times 10 to the negative 2. And then this last one, how many places did we have to move the decimal? Yeah, we had to move it 5. That's lots. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so we write that 3.21 times 10 to the negative 5. Good job. You guys are really picking this up nicely. That's great. Now, from there, let's bring it all back home. What about going the other way? Well, keep in mind, look here. Scientific notation is just, remember when I asked the question, like, how would you tell a little kid to write this? And I can't remember who told me, I apologize, but you said, oh, like put a 1 and then put 27 zeros, right? What a great answer. Scientific notation is just telling you how to write a number. This is saying, write a 3 and then a 2. The decimal place, we're putting it here, but really, where should it be? It should be over by 3. Does that make sense? And that's a positive number. So should this be a big number or like a little decimal? Big number or a little decimal? What do you think? Big number. If it were a little decimal, what would be true about this exponent? It would be negative. So look here, when you want to do this, write the digits, but not the decimal. So if you want to go backwards, write the digits, but not the decimal. So in this case, I've got a 3 and a 2, and then figure out where the decimal will need to be. So where does the decimal need to go? Well, it started here, but the instructions are telling me to move it how many times? Yeah, how many times?
3.
Nice. Once, twice, 3 times. So that's where my decimal has to go. Uh-oh, I've got blank spaces. What do I do with blank spaces? What do you think? I saw a hand up there, feeling bold. What should I do with those empty spaces? Yeah, of course. Math has a symbol for empty space. In math, how do we say something's empty?
Empty.
0. 0 means empty. So we've got a couple empty spaces here. We fill them in with zeros. So figure out where the decimal goes, and empty spaces can be filled with zeros. Do you know what we call a 0 that's just there to show you it's empty? We have a word for that. I know you've used it probably in your math class. We say that 0 is a it is a placeholder. Placeholder zeros. All right, let's try one more together, and then you can try the rest of these yourselves. So 1.45 times 10 to the negative 3. First, I'm going to write the digits. What are the digits of this number? Just the digits. What are just the digits of that number? Yeah? Good. 1, 4, and 5. And now I need to figure out where the decimal goes. So the decimal started here. How many times do I have to move it? Well, I have to move it 3 times. And so it's going to move 1, 2, 3. And then I guess I'll put a 0 there, right? Right? That should be right? Pretty sure that's right. I'm the teacher. Looks right to me. Yeah?
-3.
Oh, -3. So which way should I have moved the decimal? Yeah, the other way. And listen, don't try to memorize it. Don't be like, oh, negative goes left, or don't think that way. This is negative, which means this should be a small little number. Does that make sense? Negative exponent means small little number, so you move it to make it a small little number. So I move it once, twice, and 3 times. That's where the decimal goes, and then what do I do to fill it in? I add zeros. So I need a 0 here, I need a 0 here. The one in front is optional. Do you guys know that? That you can write a number as 0.25, or you can write it as 0.25. Those are both correct in math. So it's up to you. I like a 0 in front. I always find that kind of helpful. So I will always put a 0 in front as well. But if you don't put a 0 in front, that's also okay. That's allowed. Questions about that? Going the other way? All right, I'm going to give you 3 minutes. See if you can get the next 3 done. And then we'll talk about your assignment for the week. For the week, we are giving you a week-long assignment right here on day 1.
It's actually, we have homework?
Yeah, of course. All right, so take 3 minutes, work on these. Yeah. Oh, sure. Yeah, that'd be great. Do you mind writing it how I wrote it here? Like show also the movement? You don't need to do that, actually. I take that back. You can just write the answer.
Here, I'm really Oh, it's hot. My hand just cut. Here we go.
It's up to you. So you can either do it as 0 dot or just do it as dot.
How many kids in this class do you think have an Xbox?
That's for going the other way. So where
Well,
should
this
that
obviously.
Oh, that's a correct answer. 3
Yeah,
already.
positive. So if that were a negative, you'd have been totally right. But because it's positive, it's going to go the other way. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have no idea. November? October.
Probably around
Before
present.
Halloween. American Thanksgiving is after Halloween. Our Thanksgiving is before Halloween.
I get to celebrate 2 Thanksgivings.
Do you have American family too?
Or from
Oh, are you? Where are you from?
Xbox and
I love waffle. I miss waffle.
Do you have an Xbox?
Usually in my life,
Used
I
to.
go to Buffalo. Leafs. I grew up in Niagara Falls. I used to go back all the time. Yes. Yeah, love the Anchor Bar, but I love like.
Oh, you wanted the best way to make
And like I love like going to see shows. Caves, like going to see the Sailors.
You want to know the best way to make friends with a good sense of humor?
Yeah, Coca-Cola. I can't remember
You
what
go
it's
to
called.
searching for
It's
good
called
friends on Shadow Warriors.
Yeah.
Get kids.
Honestly, Coca-Cola feels like my favorite place to see.
It's true, bro. You ever
So
played
like
that game?
small,
Yes.
it's great. Oh.
I owned it for PS4.
No, I know. Except for like Star Wars. Star Wars night at like PAX there. That's it. Yeah, but honestly, and then since COVID, I've been to Buffalo. And I miss it. And I'll tell you right now, if you have like a band you love and they're playing Toronto and they're playing Buffalo, go to Buffalo.
Pencil's
Always a
been
bad
stuck
show.
3 times and I'm
Always
still
a
using
bad
it.
show.
Nah, bro, Toronto.
Yeah. So. Oh, here, pass it on to that table. Let's get them to talk. Yeah.
There. Psych, I lied.
No. Yo, we get your faces now. Oh my god. Yes.
1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3.
Like that one.
No, for me. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2.
Don't take a picture.
3. Time to get your name.
What is your answer for
Yeah.
this one? What's your
1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Here is now you're
smarter? Yo, somebody's smart.
Doesn't get to feel good?
Mr.
I don't know if I did it right, so like.
Ooh, yeah.
Colton's adopted.
Hey,
We have a question
Yeah.
for
well, that's very
the
random.
3.2,
That was
and
very
it's
random of you to
-1,
say.
no 0 at the front, right?
Up to you.
Okay.
You can put the 0 on the front or not the 0 on the front. Totally up to you.
Colton's adopted. He has black brothers.
No. 1, 2. I don't have.
Yeah, 2 black
1.
brothers.
I don't have a 2. I have a sister.
Oh, man.
Well, 3.
Yeah.
I'm not adopted.
Are you sure?
Actually, I'm not sure. Actually, but still,
You're a wanted. You're a wanted, Colton.
fair point.
A good overpay minimum.
Can I try like a smile?
Yay, I'm wanted.
Nice. And so where should that decimal be? No, where should it be? Yeah, you got it. Erase that one. Make that. Oh, no. Oh, no. And then make that leading one nice and big, all right? Do you do your numbers from the bottom?
What about bomb?
Do you do your numbers from the bottom?
Yes.
Oh, I'm so fascinated by that.
Are we not?
That's fine. Just not how I do them.
That's weird doing it from the top.
Really?
Do it on the top. No,
Interesting. Well, I want to talk through actually. Okay, guys, let's take a look here. Shh. Let's take a look here. So, this first one here, we've got our digit. Oh no! Oh no! I'm sorry, and I'll try to match yours. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Okay.
You're gonna make it more squiggly.
I'm doing my best. I'm doing my best.
There we go.
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay. So we said we write those digits down, and then we have to figure out where the decimal goes. So the decimal was here, and this one's telling you to move it how many places? How many? 2. So it should go there. And so how would we say this number? Yeah. Yeah, 355. Good. And then this one, it tells you to move the decimal how many places? 1. And so it should be 32? No, why not? Because it's going the other way. Yeah, because it's going the other way. Good. And so I'm just going to, because this has the potential to get messy, I'm just going to rewrite these without the red over here. So this would be 3,200. This would be 0.00145. This would be 355. And if you want to put the zeros, that's fine. Nothing wrong with that. I'm not gonna, but it's perfectly fine to have them. And this would be 0.3245. And again, that's totally right. What do I usually put with a number like this? Yeah, I put the leading 0. It's optional. Totally up to you. So how would we do this one? 72876. what are we going to do here? The decimal was here, and it's telling me to move it.
4.
Beautiful. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So it should be 7,200 or 72,876, right? Yeah? I don't know why I did that in red. So 72,876. And if you want to put a nice strong decimal there so we know where it is, that's totally cool. It's not wrong. But usually if a number has a decimal at the end, we don't write it, right? But again, if it is helpful to you to have it there, put it there. Does that make sense? Okay. Questions about that? Tomorrow, we're going to start the day off with a really simple, but a little practice quiz for this. And we're going to do that kind of every day this week. Just a little one. It'll take you like, I don't know, a minute when you first come in. Probably 3 questions. But we're going to get a bit of practice. So overnight, you've got some homework here. Hey, did I make this sheet myself? No, I definitely shamelessly stole this off the internet.
Oh, you didn't?
Usually Trush and I make all our own stuff, but this, definitely stole it. But make sure you get that done for homework, all right? This will not take you long.
So just be careful with the bigger numbers have commas.
Yeah?
And they might look like decimals.
Oh, that's true, yeah. Do take note. You might want to make a note of this. These are commas, not decimals. So do watch carefully. Why do they put commas in sometimes? What are the commas there for? Yeah, it's just if there's a bunch of zeros or a bunch of digits, they group them into groups of 3 just to help you count. Does that make sense? But don't mistake it for a decimal. Very good point. All right, so that'll be your homework. Questions about your homework?
So since we can't type it, we can take a picture.
You can, if you want to type, first of all, you can definitely type and take a picture, but if you're in OneNote, you can totally click there and write right on top of it. It'll let you do that. But probably easier just to do it by hand and take a picture for me, for my guys. Okay, so that's going to be your homework, but that is not the main thrust of today. We're going to practice with this, but let me ask you, are we teaching you this just for the fun of it?
Yes.
Are we teaching you this just to kill time?
No.
No! Who said yes? You hurt my feeling. Far from killing time, every second is precious in science class because there's so much stuff to know and it's all exciting. I think it's all really exciting.
Learn about space.
So we're going to talk about space. And space is one of my favorite topics to talk about. I think it's really, really, really interesting. And go.
Space and blue.
And go. And wrong one. And go. I think I clicked the wrong one again. This is going to be embarrassing when it comes up as the exact same thing. I'm going to be ashamed. All right, 3rd time's the charm.
Is it though?
And go.
Yeah.
Hey, okay. So listen, today we're going to start talking about space. And as we did the little activity here, you saw that the reason you need the lesson we just did on scientific notation is because in space, things can be really big and really far apart, huge numbers. But then, just like everything else in the universe, all the stuff in space is made of atoms, and atoms are really, really tiny. Big numbers, small numbers. Scientific notation starts to become important. In fact, you're going to use it today for today's task. So, I want to introduce you to what's going to be a week-long project for you. And keep in mind that the way this school is worked out, every week is really 2 weeks, right? Because you have a period of science, then another period of science, and normally this would be like 2 weeks. So we are giving you a project that in like a normal school year would be like a 2-week project. Mr. Trush, do I want hastily thrown together garbage when they hand this in?
Oh, no.
No, I want stuff that has been carefully done. Nice, careful work. We're going to give you a project. We're giving you the whole week to work on it. We're here to help you. Every day this week, you're going to have some free time. And that free time isn't going to be spent like Snapchatting?
Yeah.
Snapping chat?
Snapping.
I'm old and I don't understand what these words mean and they scare me. But that's not what you're going to be doing. In your downtime this week,